Hey guys, welcome to this breakdown of UFC 262's Oliveira versus Chandler, in which we saw our man here, Charles Oliveira, knock out Michael Chandler with a beautiful left hook and then finish the job. So what happened? I'm going to show you two camera angles. This is the first one, and point out some things that you can then use in your own training. So what we'll see here, Chandler's going to throw the left hand and Charles is going to throw the right hand. I'm going to go bit by bit. So you see they both start firing, and you'll see that Chandler is throwing that left hand. It's going to miss. It's not going to hit the face. It's going to miss, and it'll duck underneath the right hand by Charles. So notice that both things happen at the same time. So you can see that the right hand is going to go over the top and miss, and Chandler unfortunately just goes a little bit wide here, and he doesn't land. If he would have landed that one on the chin, maybe the fight would have gone differently, but you know, if that doesn't buy you anything. So let's keep going. He's going to follow up with that right hand, and that also is going to miss. It's going to land on the chest. Boom, right here. So this impact here, I think it shook up Oliveira a little bit, and then that's why he paused a little bit afterwards. So I want you to notice the chest and the shoulders of Oliveira as this punch by Chandler lands. Notice how his head snaps forward. It's kind of like running into a lamppost or something when a guy who's as massive for the weight class as Chandler is strikes with full force. Boom. That's it. And I think that's kind of maybe shook him up a little bit or took his breath away, and he recovered. And that's why he did what actually got him the knockout. Now, usually when somebody goes back after throwing that right hand, you will see the right side rotating backwards as they resume their fighting stance. That's not what happens here. I want you to watch two things. Watch the right hand and the right shoulder by Oliveira as we see the next few frames. You're going to see that the right shoulder doesn't really rotate, and he bends his right arm to bring his hands close to his face here, right? So there's no stepping back into the fighting stance. Now let's look at what Chandler does. He throws the right hand, and he's actually going to step back and try to disengage. So he's actually still moving back. So watch him move back. And you actually see that his right shoulder is moving backwards. And he is resuming his fighting stance. Do you notice the difference? So Chandler is just stepping back, and Oliveira is taking a small pause here after throwing that right hand. I suspect because of this impact to the chest. And guys, if you've been hit by a guy who hits really hard in the chest, you don't just shrug it off. I mean, it's not like it's nothing. Again, watch that impact. Watch Charles' head and shoulders just thumped, boom, with that big right hand, and he recovers. Now, what he's going to do that's really smart is that as he recovers, he pauses, he watches, and then he sees that Chandler makes the mistake of just stepping straight back right in front of him. I've explained the flashlight analogy before, the one that I use a lot. So if you're face to face with the other guy standing in front of him, if you're in this zone here, that area that I'm drawing with blue here, you're in the danger zone. If you can manage to get over here, or anywhere else, you're in a much better position. So if you are standing in range in front of your opponent and you just step back and that's all you do, you're running a huge risk, and I think Chandler recognized that afterwards when we listened to him talk in the press conference. So he made a small mistake and paid a big price for it. So let's keep going. What do we see? Oliveira is going to sharply rotate towards his right and then throw the left hook. He's going to do it smartly. Look at the bent position of his left arm, fully bent, fist close to the chin. Right? He's going to open that up as he starts pivoting. So he's pivoting and he's going to open up the arm. So you see here that we have a much more open position in the arm, and he's going to pull that across as it continues rotating. I want to see that here, and here you see the impact. Boom. And there you have it. So, and that is the biggest issue that I always see is just taking those huge risks. Chandler's really fast. He moves in and out very quickly, but here he makes the mistake of counting on his speed, and he kind of pays the price for that. He should have, at the very least, brought up his guard, and we'll see in a bit, and I'll show you right away. So here you see the second video angle, and I'll show you a little bit closer so you can see it better. So you can see that actually Oliveira's a little bit quicker with his left hand. It's kind of looks like a feint, but it's not really landing anything. He's going to throw the right hand over the top. Again, you see the left hand glancing off by Chandler. Oliveira goes wide with that right hand. And here, look at that shoulder position that I mentioned just before. So he's going to keep his shoulder in place. He's not going to rotate all that much. Again, look at the waist position as well. He's not really rotating until he suddenly opens up and lands that punch. So and that is the main point, is that it's this little beat that he takes in between the right and the left hand that actually lands the punch. Next point that I want to make is watch Chandler here with his hands. He's picking them up at a very slow pace, and he doesn't bring them up high as he steps back. Again, he is in the danger zone. He is inside this area where all the strikes are most easily thrown by the opponent. So if you go there and you stay in range with a guy who's got a longer reach than you have, you're again, it's a huge risk. And again, Chandler, he hits that left hook, and that was all she wrote pretty much. So he's going to throw here, boom, it lands. Now, a small point of order. Joe Rogan and DC went nuts over that right hand coming up at the side of the chin from Oliveira. It's like, oh, it's just beautiful technique, such a perfect technique, his hands in position. Guys, you're supposed to keep your hands in a useful position. You're not supposed to drop your hands. You don't get bonus points for doing what you're supposed to do. Go to any boxing gym, and if you see a guy who drops his hands, you'll see a coach who's yelling at him, and a guy who gets punched in the face when he spars because he's always dropping his hands. This is standard. There's no reason why you shouldn't keep your hands high when you're fighting in MMA. There's none whatsoever. So anyway, mini rant over. So we saw the left hook. I mean, this is boom. This is the knockout punch where you saw, I mean, the waist rotation, the shoulder rotation, and then you saw the big hook coming in here. So all good stuff. And then we see the follow-up. Now, Chandler's, I mean, the guy's tough. He takes this shot here. He drops down. I'm going to go a little bit faster here. You see Oliveira rushing in, but keeping a little bit of a distance, not just launching himself. Misses with that left hand, I think. A little bit of half a grip here, nothing clean here. He goes for, and I'll zoom out so you guys see better. He's got to go for that rising knee. I don't think it lands really clean. Maybe it does, but doesn't look like it. But then he's going to here throw that right elbow, and I think that one hits more or less the back of the head. So that's a good shot right here against an opponent who's already had his bell rung. And you see here Chandler, again, instinctively framing. So trying to post with that left arm, keep somebody away. This is something that doesn't work in MMA, especially with a guy who's got longer arms. Now, by this time, Chandler's obviously he's a little bit groggy, so we can forgive him that. But don't do that against a guy who's got a longer reach, because he can plow you into the face with his right hand, as we'll see right away. I mean, over the top, right? So you see the reach here. Chandler's got pretty much full extension, and you can see that from here, Oliveira just goes over the top and it lands. And again, good technique, pivoting correctly. Look at all the important points. Back heel is raised, lead knee is bent but not too far forward. Shoulders all the way forward. Left shoulder is pulled back, rotating fully, and then extending the arm just shy of full extension. It's really good technique, and he uses his reach perfectly. If he would have come closer, Oliveira, he might have run into that posting hand here, but he didn't. So anyway, that right hand lands, and that was a pretty good shot. The left one here misses. I think this one lands as well. You can see that another right hand lands, and then again, a good tactic here is just going along the side of the fence and never letting the opponent have a chance to recover. Basically, Chandler needs to either just grab a hold, try to clinch, or run as fast as he can and get out of there. Because changing direction is going to be difficult. He's going to run into another right hand then. So Oliveira's not going to let that happen. That left hand doesn't land, but it's this one here. So look at the position here Chandler's in. I mean, the guy's pretty much done here. He doesn't have much that he can do here other than try to run away. And you see the left hand is going to land, boom, flush. And you see, again, rotation of the chin, scrambles the brain, and he drops and this is all she wrote, and we get a few more punches, and that's it. So that's it, guys. Great fight. I would love to see it happen again. I would love to see a rematch. I think Chandler is, he was doing so well in the first round, so I think it's not a stretch to say that he might have had a good shot at beating Oliveira, but we'll never know. We'll never know. Would love to see a few more rounds, but maybe a rematch is in the works in a few months, maybe next year. We'll see with the UFC. You never know. Right, guys, that's it. As always, thank you very much for watching. Again, like, share, subscribe. Go check out the Patreon, check on the social media, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.